To another edition of Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C. I am so glad you're here. A lot has happened in the past, 24 hours? Or 36? Anyway, a lot has happened. We've been talking about, Peg and I have been talking about this new thing, Threads. Let me put my everything on Do Not Disturb so I don't get disturbed. But yeah, so a lot has been going on. We're going to be talking. Oh, here comes Connor. Here he is. Boom. Let me get him in. So we'll go like this. We had a little trouble getting Connor in earlier. The internet gods were not letting him. Peg, this is Connor. Connor, Peg.
Hi.
Yes. So we're discussing all the craziness over on Threads. I saw Connor was over on Threads. We've got some of our friends joining us. Chris Stone goes, "Is this live on Threads yet?" Asking for a friend. No, but do you think it's coming? That's something we need to talk about. Like, there's not much video on it, which is interesting.
They really want it to be text-based. That's what they've been saying.
Yeah. So Gary Stockton says, "Good morning from Huntington Beach, friends." I know Gary was excited about this because I saw him over on Threads. He's been wanting to get away from Twitter forever. I think he quit Twitter, but this is letting him have a new outlet. So he's doing some cool stuff. We got our friend Jim saying, "Hello, Jeff, Peg, and Connor." Hey, Jim, I've seen you over on Threads as well. So this is going to be a fun show. Now, I even had somebody tell me today, like, how can you even do a show? I got an email saying, "How can you do a show? It's not even been 24 hours yet." I'm like, we don't know. We're going to talk about it because it's very interesting. We don't know what this is going to become, but it's fun to talk about and play with. So,
but also, it's not our first rodeo, and to be honest, it's starting out like every new platform.
Yeah. And Peg has done this before, so this is,
I was on Meerkat on day one.
You were.
I hopped over to Periscope when it was new.
That's right.
I was on Google Plus the second it opened.
There you go, Chris.
Let's
take a
talk
drink.
about some stuff.
Yeah,
drink.
That's right.
Drink.
We have been there. So I'm going to go ahead and get go. I want to save all this good stuff for the actual podcast. So I'm going to hit go on the podcasting machine. Connor, are you ready, my friend?
I am ready. Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to hit go and we will get started. Hello, folks. Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C. and you're not.
And I'm Connor Brown, and this is the show that keeps you up to date on what's happening in the world of social media and more.
Yes, and I'm very excited to be here today with my friend Peg Fitzpatrick. Peg and I have done this for a while, but I want to know if you guys checked out Instagram's new Threads app yet? Are you maybe intrigued by how this new app could reshape the social media landscape? Or perhaps you're wondering how businesses and influencers can leverage Threads to their advantage. If these questions are striking a chord with you, then you're in for a real treat today. We're absolutely just delighted to have a guest who is an authority in the realm of social media. It's none other than Peg Fitzpatrick, a social media strategist who has mastered the art of navigating new platforms and trends. Peg's going to be unpacking Instagram's Threads, sharing her insights, and offering her expert perspectives on its implications. So make yourself comfortable and prepare for an episode brimming with valuable insights and thought-provoking discussions with you, our faithful audience. So let's dive on in. Peg, how are you doing today?
I am so good. I stopped using Threads to come on here.
It seems like everybody's doing that. So if you guys don't know who Peg is, she is an author, a social media strategist, and head of social and marketing for Kressler Inc. Peg has been she's spearheaded successful social media campaigns for. You've been spearheaded.
Horrible.
You'll be spearheaded on today's show. But she spearheaded successful social media campaigns for Motorola, Audi, Google, and Virgin, as well as being a brand ambassador for Kimpton Hotels, TJ Maxx, Nestle, and Adobe. And she was actually the first head of social media for Canva. I need to get on Threads where I just can type and not talk. I know.
You need to do your vocal exercises.
I was so stressed that Connor wasn't here. It's all going downhill. But
he's here though. Calm down.
I know. But she has also authored she co-authored The Art of Social Media: Power Tips for Power Users with Guy Kawasaki. And Guy teamed up with Peg because he believes she is the best social media person he has ever met. I would say the same thing. So she has been handpicked by Pinterest for their expert program, and she has worked directly with the teams at Facebook, Adobe, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and Google to help them with launches, platform feedback, and special project. And get ready for this, guys. It's spring 2024. Peg is going to have a new book that she has written, so hold on to your seats. This is going to be a game-changing book for small businesses. all about social media for them in spring 2024. So we do have, I want to pull this up right here. You can go to pegfitzpatrick.com/book-buzz, pegfitzpatrick.com/book.buzz. You can sign up to get those updates because I've read a little bit of it and it's pretty awesome. So you guys need
Jeff
to go check
actually
it out.
has it. Jeff
Yes,
is
I
one
do.
of the only people that has.
I did.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Man.
it's pretty cool. So with that all out of the way, I want to do a big shout out to our sponsors, Ecamm. You can find out more about them.
Ecamm.
Sorry, hit the wrong button. It's one of those days, folks. Socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. They're actually having a summer sale right now. So if you haven't tried out Ecamm for a while, you need to go there. Go to their website. Go to socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. It's going to give you a code at the top, and you can actually get a special offer where they're discounting it pretty significantly for just this month. So if you're a new user, haven't tried it yet before, go there, use that code, and you can get a significant discount. So very, very cool from our friends over at Ecamm. All right. Let's see if I can talk. So, are you ready for this, Peg?
Oh, no.
Oh, see, here it goes. It's perfect dad joke stuff for Threads.
Everybody's doing the play on words over there with trying to just figure out how to make it punny.
And I saw that you had posted like what they're supposed to call it, but it's so
Yeah.
boring. It's got to be something fun.
Here's the thing, Jeff, and you
Okay.
know this is true. They come up with a platform and they have ideas for it, but then what happens is the community makes it something. The community decides what it's going to be. So they give some tools and then people decide what it's going to be. And right now, it's like everybody just going on trying to figure it out. And even to the point where people started with the same post like, is this thing on? Which was
Right.
like so old. I'm going to sneeze.
So,
I'm going to sneeze. Sorry.
so
Excuse me.
I'm allergic to Connor as well, so it's okay.
I
Sorry.
think my issue with it though is tweet is a noun and a verb, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
thread, I just don't see it like that. Like
You
a
could say thread it, but that it sounds like
I'm
Reddit.
just saying, hey, I tweeted about this. I threaded
Right.
about this. I don't know.
But you
Yeah.
know, tweet wasn't a verb or even a
Right.
word except for birds before we used it for a decade and more.
Right.
So I think it's what we make it. So they called it that, but we'll probably come up with different things.
So Jim has something. This is really interesting. And he's kind of being funny, but I'm on Threads while watching you on YouTube. It's that meta. But that's one of the things I want to talk about when we get into this. So this first kind of section, we're going to be talking about understanding Threads, what it is, because like Jim Alt here, and he's like, this is a new thing kind of for him. A lot of people, it's brand new. Like it still smells like a new car over there right now. But what is Threads? And Jim's point, like, is it going to be a second screen? Like with Twitter, people like remember when Lost was out? They would even have the hashtag on the screen there and kind of in the lower third where people were, it was used as a second screen while you're watching a show. Will this happen with Threads? That's what I want to talk about. But Peg,
only if they add hashtags.
Right. So can you explain what Instagram Threads is and how it works for what we know so far?
Okay. So it's an extension of Instagram. They haven't made it like an extension of Facebook, but it's basically a meta property. It's getting so washy on the names over there. But it's basically they want it to be like a text-only communication app. It's only a mobile app right now. It's not on desktop, although you can see people's profile, but you can't comment or do anything, but you can see people's profile on a desktop. But it's basically just communication and it's very basic. There's no direct messages, which people are already freaking out about. It's just like communication. So you can just go say something text-based. You can also add a photo. You can also add a video up to 5 minutes. And you can add carousels up to, I think I tried like 7, so it might be up to 10 images. I'm not 100% on that. They really were emphasizing the text part of it. But the thing with that is people are more attracted to images. We know that from all the studies that are out there. So I still am like hooked on GIFs and emojis and stuff because it breaks things up a little bit from just being text. But it's basically just communication. It's like, getting to know people. And the really interesting thing is that the adoption of it was insane. They had like 10 million users in the first at like first day. And I guess it passed. We'll say it again. So sorry, whoever has to drink, if that's Chris. it passed Google Plus was the fastest adoption before. Now, and these things are kind of apples and oranges because it's like it's faster adoption than this, but people are so used to going to a new platform now. So it's not the same thing as 10 years ago where people would be like, well, I'm already on Instagram. I don't think I'm going to try it. But now people know I better get there, better grab my name. One nice thing was that your name was attached to your Instagram account. So people couldn't like take your name. I guess they could do a version of it, but
Hmm.
I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen fake accounts, but they're
Yeah.
probably coming, right?
Yeah. So I want to go back to this 10 million users. That's huge. I mean,
Yep.
24 hours, 10 million. It's probably bigger than
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
From what I understand, to be the same amount of users as Twitter, he only has to get like what 12% of the Instagram users to start using Threads, and he will already be bigger
I
than.
think it's going to.
Yeah.
All the celebrities have adopted it. The YouTubers have adopted it. The TikTokers adopted it. Day
Right.
one, when it was live at 7 p.m.
Mhm.
Right.
on Wednesday, and I was on at 7:10. um, and already like the early people that got in a little extra sneak preview,
Hmm.
there was Colleen Hoover, who is the huge author that just went viral on TikTok. She's huge on TikTok. She obviously must have Instagram too, and she was right on. She went in there at the early adoption. I mean, people know now there's a huge advantage to being early on something, to gaining followers and to building your community. So I think because the celebrity adoption was so fast, I think it's going to pass Twitter's numbers pretty quickly. I think there's a percentage of people that are still happy with Twitter, but that's all political, and I I really hope that stuff doesn't come over
Right.
onto Threads. Like it gives me anxiety even thinking like politics on there. It's just like, oh, please no.
Yeah.
Please
It'll
don't.
it'll. I have a feeling it'll come. So
It probably
so
will.
it's so the number one app, the fastest downloaded app was OpenAI. That was the fastest one that
Hmm.
has grown.
Hmm.
Um, this one is posed to overtake it if it continues to grow
Yeah.
like it. This weekend will be really interesting to see what happens. So anyway,
Hmm.
Connor, you had a question.
Yeah, especially the Twitter thing. But I think one thing that's super interesting is yes, all the celebrities are going, but because it's such an easy adoption, you click in your profile on Instagram, it automatically creates it and downloads it for you. I think that's going to be really big because I always do the mom test, right? Can mom figure this out? My mom's already on Threads, right? She's never set foot on Twitter. Probably has never seen a tweet before. She's tech savvy to her credit, but she's
Right.
already on there. And I think that that's going to be the real. This is how it becomes super, super, super big. The easiness of it to set it up. But Peg, you did mention Twitter. If you kind of compare just a thread to a tweet, they look kind of similar. They look very
Yep.
similar. And this, of
Yep.
course, is being touted as Facebook's uh, uh, reply to Twitter, or whatever it is, competitor to Twitter. So, how does it differentiate itself right now? What are the key features that set it apart? And I know it's super
Mm.
early, but how do you see it differentiate itself in the long term, especially when we've had other Twitter competitors before, like Mastodon, other things like
Yep.
that?
It definitely looks like Mastodon to me.
Mhm.
It feels like it. It's quieter. I think right now the advantage is that it's quieter. The news feed isn't crazy. They're limiting, I think it was 600, that you'll see 600 posts a day. And they are going in a chronological feed. They have the advantage of being after everything else. When you're the first one out there with something, you have to come up with all the things. Like, Snapchat came out and they were like, it disappears. And everybody was like, wait, it disappears. That's not good. And everybody was like, no, it's cool. And then they were like, oh, wait, it's cool. So I will say Meta waited a long time. This is definitely a copy of a couple other things that we've seen. I mean,
Mhm.
those are facts. Even the name is like a Twitter thread. I'm really not sure why they went so close on that. Um, but how's it going to differentiate itself? That's a good question. I think right now Twitter has such bad press, and people that were like hardcore Twitter users, like authors, like journalists that built up their platforms, the people who hang on their every word because they are journalists and like really interesting people. I think they're going to enjoy the quieter network. It's harder to connect right now because there's no hashtags, and
Mhm.
it's harder. People right now are just randomly posting. They're replying. They're not at mentioning people. So you may or may not see the notification. I missed some yesterday, came on this morning. I was like, oh, hey, but you have to check. I mean, there's not that much to check. There's very few buttons. And so it's very, I think the simplicity is the beauty of it right now, the quietness and the simplicity. Like it's easy. Like you said, there's some people who never went to Twitter. They were on Facebook. So far, they've only pushed it through Instagram that I've seen because they're partnering it with Instagram. They also have their Facebook user base. There might be people there that don't have even Instagram. You know, if you're going to go
Mm-hmm.
with the older ages. So we'll see. I mean, they have a huge base of people to go from. So they have
Right.
it's a lot different than starting with no followers. Like
S-
Mastodon was kind of like, "Hi, we're a new thing," and people were just looking for something to replace Twitter, so they got a lot of adoption.
See, I'm not
Google
even on Mastodon. I haven't gone over there.
when Google started Google Plus, you had to have an invitation, and they were tied to your Gmail account, which they got fast adoption because everybody had Gmail
Mm-hmm.
accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
smart.
It's interesting, and I want to bring up this question, and it's from your daughter. Shayla says Threads is used as a term outside of Twitter, although think Slack thread, Reddit thread, email thread, etc. So yeah, I can see that. But it was funny because I saw her on
Hello, Shayla.
Threads yesterday throw down the gauntlet, saying, "Will this be the platform that I'm going to have more followers than my mother?" So
So
it's on
everybody
at the
follow Shayla. She's
that's
funny,
yeah.
and
So
she's a tech girl. So she's if you like gaming or
yeah. But she has a
tech
great
stuff.
question. What do you think of another purely algorithmic based feed? Because I want to
I'm
know what your
so
thoughts
sick.
about like the launch, Peg, and this is part of it.
Mm. Well, I'm sick of algorithms. A lot of my life is run by algorithms online. So you blah on
Mm-hmm.
that. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm not sure how it's going to be for businesses as far as like links and content and things like that. People are starting to share things like that. So how do I feel about algorithms? I hate them. And I think that they're changed constantly. So no matter what you do, you can never catch up on them. So on one hand, they're there. On the other hand, I try to ignore them and just create the best content that's helpful for people because that's what people really want. Entertaining, it goes back to why people share things online. They want it to be entertaining. They think it's funny. They want to share it so their friends see it and think they're funny by association. So it's still the basic tenets of social media. Do I wish that things weren't algorithmically based? Yes, but that's how they find out what's popular and they share it to more people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even our TV viewing is algorithmically based. You go on Netflix and it's going to show you things, and you pause on a movie for a second, and then that movie shows up in every category that you look at. I mean, we don't
Yeah,
have free choice anymore. Our free choice is gone. So
yeah,
so Shayla, question for you: how do we get that back since you're
right.
since
She's
you're in
writing the algorithms.
technology?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
go ahead.
that is
Gone.
it is really interesting. I also think the launch was interesting just because there wasn't a huge beta. There was a beta, and
It was
some
so
celebrities,
quick.
yeah, we saw like Shakira was on there. Other, big names were on there for the
Mhm.
beta, but it almost seems like they wanted to launch it and see how people are going to use it, right? To kind of understand what's going to go on. And I know the head of Instagram has announced, listen, these are the things we may or may not have in the pipeline, like a
Right.
feed just for the people you follow,
Right.
DM, hashtags, better search functions, those sorts of things. And those might come. Time will tell, of course. We know that they've always been kind of wishy washy with announcing things. And if they come, they come. But I think what's interesting about this is every new social platform that's come before has almost been kind of like we have to get people off of another platform to us. And
Mhm.
then vice versa. People have worried, other platforms have worried when a new thing enters the landscape. Oh boy, how are we going to prevent people from leaving us to go to this? But this
Right.
is different because it's
Mhm.
built on Instagram. So we haven't
Right.
really seen this a whole lot saying, encouraging people almost to jump to another platform. So, how do you think Threads is going to impact how we use Instagram and how people use Instagram going forward?
Right. That's a great question. Back to the launch though, I think it was an excellent launch.
Yeah.
Obviously, how can you deny it was an excellent launch?
Right. 10
Oh,
million
yeah.
people. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they crushed it. So it was low key. I think that they launched it earlier. I know there was a later date that it was supposed to come out, but I saw in the press that it was being talked about and they had information. So I think that some big press contact broke the embargo, and then I think they launched it. That's only my theory. I haven't seen that written anywhere, but I know that the date was supposed to be later and it came out earlier. So, and I had seen articles talking about it. Um, and now I just forgot your great question. Refresh me, Connor. How do I think it's gonna?
How will people use Instagram? How do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think it's obviously it's a lot different than Instagram, because Instagram, you're like, I need a photo, I need a video, I need something, I need to make a reel. We've all been like told reels, 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 you got to do reels. I think this gives us a break from having to be camera ready, or, you know, you get trained to create certain content for certain things. Like TikTok, you have to have a video. Instagram, you had to have a photo forever, or now it's a photo and a video. But there's no text only post unless you make a graphic, which is still an image. So this is the people who were crushing it on Twitter, the funny people that are just writing the short, snappy things that people respond to, are instantly crushing it on Threads. There's a really big difference between somebody who's really great at Twitter and somebody who's really great at Instagram. So it's kind of trying to meld those two things together. And which persona do we pick? That's the interesting thing. Wendy's and McDonald's, two brands that crush it on Twitter
Right.
and
They're
are
there.
also on Instagram, are already over there crushing
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
Ulta Beauty, which is, they post videos, they post that kind of thing. I don't even know if I follow them on Twitter, because beauty brands like that, you go to them for TikTok. That we have so many compartments now. But Ulta is already like posting great questions on Ulta on their threads. So you have to do a little bit of a switch to what you're going to share. It's text based and people are going to read it. You can have graphics and things with it. But I think that it's kind of like people are trying to figure out, how do I meld those two things together? And
Mhm.
those are the people that are going to succeed. And asking questions and building your community and sharing things. I love the ones that are staying 100% true to who they are. You can follow, again, the big brands for like guidance on stuff. Check out some of the big brands and see what they're sharing, and is it working. McDonald's got raked over the coals with that Grimace. Did you guys see the
Yes, I
Grimace
did.
trending?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they already posted that on Threads. They were like, say goodbye, Grimace is gone today. It was like, the if you haven't seen it, it was a viral Twitter thing that,
Mhm.
or TikTok, excuse me. Grimace came out, and then people were posting that they drank the shake and died. So it really backfired on them. And McDonald's is like, help.
Yeah.
But, they're staying in the conversation, which is good.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things I wanted to go back and talk about. First of all, about the interface, because I want to know what you think about the interface so far. Now, we don't know
Simple.
what it's going to turn into. Instagram was pretty simple when it first started, and then
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's really bloated. Is that going to
Yes.
happen to Threads? As they add new features and stuff like that. I hope not, but you got to look at the track record. But Dealcaster says, I still don't understand the auto follow thing versus those that I have to accept them to follow. Maybe Chris, was too busy hitting all the buttons and getting started. So so you can import everybody from Instagram and you're following them, but then you also see people that you have to accept them to follow. So
I
what does he
think that
talk
was
about?
that was like a one-time thing when you
Okay.
were signing up. It was like, do you want to auto follow all the people you have follow on Instagram? And I was like, I've been pretty careful about who I follow on Instagram. I've deleted a lot of accounts and I follow only things I really like. So I was like, sure, I'll do it. And now I see the auto follow ones, and there's
Hmm.
no way to go back once you did or didn't do it. They might update those things. They made it, like Chris, like Connor already mentioned, they made it very simple.
Right.
The login's very simple. You can either do it or not do it. And then there's not even that many buttons when you're looking at your profiles or anything like that. There's very few buttons. I don't think they're going to overbloat it, because they already have Meta.
Right.
I guess we have to call it Meta. They already have Facebook. They already have Instagram that has a million features. They've tried to add some of the Instagram features like Reels over on Facebook. They're not really taking off. I mean,
Hmm.
people like their separate things. I think one of the biggest problems is people are concerned about having another place that they have to post.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, do I have to post another place? But it's connected.
Yeah, I
And
want to talk about that because,
yep,
and I want to do that in this next section where we talk about like how it's going to impact social, because
yep.
you and I have both seen where you can tell people are just taking what they already had scheduled on Twitter and they're posting it to
Mhm.
Threads.
Mhm.
And then other people are like, hey, this is a new space. I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to be my real self. And so that's the kind of way I haven't done any like marketing. I didn't even share this show was coming up. I mentioned it when in some comments, but I never like pushed it out like I have it
I'm
auto
here
scheduled
for
on
you, though.
Twitter.
Don't worry about it, my man. I
Oh,
got you
you did
covered.
it. You did it. All right. Thanks. So I want it to be like fun, kind of see where it is because I don't know what it's going to
Yep.
what it's going to do business
Yep.
wise or whatever. And Gary has this kind of comment. He goes, he's still waiting for his invite to Blue Sky. Meanwhile, Zuck is hovering up the market share. So this
Yep.
is interesting to me.
Hoovering. He's hoovering it.
Yeah, hoovering it up. He's from the UK, so that makes. Um, so the question I want to talk about is, yeah, he's getting all this market share. People are trying to figure out, what to do. One of the cool things I think about the interface is just like a lot of Instagram users would post, they would take a screenshot of their Twitter and they would post it
Mhm.
as their. You can already
Yep.
share that to a story now from
Yeah, I
Threads,
love that.
which I
That's
think is
that's
really
actually
cool.
that's my favorite feature is that you can post and then share it to Threads. So it's the integration for that is really great. And you can also make a post in Threads and share it as a post. So you have a post, you can share. I don't think you could share it as a reel. I haven't tried that, but you can share it to a post and you can share it as a story. And it makes a great story. I hope that you can
Yeah.
change the backgrounds and stuff on them.
Hmm.
Eventually, I haven't played with it too much. But once you share it to Instagram, you have the ability to do all the things that you can do in stories, like add hashtags or gifs or location or any of those kind of little button things in there. So you still have your stripped down version to share from Threads, but it's a very seamless integration.
Yeah.
um I like that.
One
So
thing I
go
did
ahead.
want to mention about the auto follow, I found out how you can do it after the fact as well.
Oh, cool.
So if you
Share.
go into followers on your Threads profile, who you're following, there's a little thing right up at the top that says like import or whatever Instagram followers. Click
Mhm.
that, and then the list will come up, and you can click follow all at the very bottom. What's really
Right.
cool is this morning I found out I just followed someone new on Instagram. There was a cool video or whatever, so I gave him a follow, and then I went over to Threads. I opened up my following section, and they were like, "Hey, this new person is now on Threads." It was that account I just followed on Instagram.
Oh,
I
cool.
hit follow on Threads, and it went like that. So it's automatically like populating
Connecting.
who you just followed on Instagram if you also want to follow them on Threads.
Yeah, I can't see that. I just pulled it up while you were saying it because I auto followed at the beginning, so
Yeah.
that feature isn't there for me. But it is cool that, I mean, so far I've been trying to keep up on followers, like who's following me, just to catch people,
Yeah.
to me if I'm not following them.
So let's talk because I want to know like how I know it's only been like 24 hours or 36 or whatever, but how do you think this is going to affect the social media landscape, right? Like
Mm,
how is it just right now the big news cycle is hey, it's Twitter, all their followers are coming over here, Twitter is dead, this is the big Twitter killer that, and it's going to be Zuck and Elon in a cage fight kind of a thing.
ugh,
But I want to talk about like the whole landscape, how this may change things, like even like TikTok, all this stuff. And the thing that, and I think I wrote this on like Lou's post when he was talking about uh, Threads, was I kind of there's no video really. Like the thing about TikTok, you will be sucked in and like you wake up and there's 2 hours has passed, and instead of being sucked into a video where you're not engaging, like your TikTok, you're liking, maybe you'll comment. Threads is it's sucking you in to be part of the conversation. The whole thing is engagement. It's all about talking. So is this going to change the landscape? Is it just a totally different animal? Is it so much like Twitter? It's just another Twitter. I mean, what are your thoughts, Peg?
So far, it seems like another Twitter, but TikTok does keep you on the app by, you watch a video and they auto play something
Right.
else for you. Like they keep you going, going, going. And Reels does the same thing with, when you're on
Right.
Instagram, you
Right.
see Reels and then they just keep showing you more Reels that are related. Pinterest shows you all the remember Pinterest? Pinterest shares all the
Yeah.
related things that you like. So Twitter, see, Threads is different because it is just that singular conversation, which is why it reminds me more of Mastodon, but also Twitter back in the beginning, before people got really used to using hashtags to connect with other people. That to me is the hardest part right now, is that you're connected to one thread, one little thread conversation. You could
Hmm.
post a thread with multiple posts on that one thread, but it's not easy to see all the people that are talking about X.
Right.
There's no trending topics about X. Right now, I think that's a good thing because the algorithm, we know how that goes when the news feed is decided by LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. It has not gone well for politics and for other things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of glad that there's not those trending topics yet. I don't know if they'll do that. I think people need a thing to connect with. Right now, it's the most popular thing because people are there live talking.
Right.
And that's what people are looking for on the internet. We want someone to talk to. Some people are going to post the funny thing, and the other people are going to respond to the funny thing or to the celebrity. When I was on early on, I saw that Colleen Hoover was on there, and I said hi to her, and she responded, and I was pretty darn happy because she's amazing.
Right.
And she would never see a comment that I made on
Right.
TikTok. Like, no way. Or
Yeah.
maybe she would see it but not respond because she gets too many. So there's that early thing of connecting with people, and they might see it now. So if you see people there that you really want to connect with, it's a great time to do it. And then those things are all going to even out. I have to say, it's also great to just keep having more and more followers coming in. I'm like, hey, more followers today. Yay. When that slows down too eventually.
Right. It is.
And then the referral feed, it's all celebrities.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's what I see when I look. It's always,
Yeah.
Shakira's been at the top of my feed a lot.
Yeah. So
And obviously on Connor's too.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I really liked how what Connor was saying. Like, you follow somebody new, it shows up on Threads, and the same vice versa. So I think that's going to be really cool to help build your audience.
Yep.
And I want to bring up some comments real quick. Chris says, Connor with the follow hack, he appreciates it. He also says the early vibes are great. Feels like everybody at this point is just getting along. But we just can't have nice things, Chris. And marketers are already coming in telling you how to use Threads, which just drives me bonkers because it's 24 hours old. Nobody knows how this thing is going to work.
Nope.
So
And the tech bros are already like changing their LinkedIn bio to say Chat GPT prompt
yeah,
engineer and Threads expert and LinkedIn influencer. Like, just simmer down with your expert
yeah,
status, people. That is a frustrating thing. And honestly, the other thing that comes after that, first comes this part where everybody's happy. Next comes the people telling other people, these are the rules.
right, yeah,
You have to follow our rules and do it this way. You didn't post it this way. And then come the trolls
yeah.
telling
So
you that you're a horrible threader and you don't know what you're doing.
Gary has a great point. He goes, fabric
Stop
shops are
selling.
going to be huge on Threads. That's right.
Huge
Exactly,
on-
Gary.
huge.
We have the same wavelength thinking. So, all right, Connor, you had a question. Sorry.
Yeah, this is a great question because Jeff just brought up the fact that he already hates that marketers are doing these things.
right.
So we're going to ask a question about how marketers can take advantage of Threads. But seriously, because that's the business we're in, right? We want to use these things as tools. We don't want them to use us as the tool. So as marketers, as businesses and influencers, what do you think the potential benefits for using Instagram Threads are for those people and association?
It's going to be a new chapter in your book, Peg. So you're going to have to cover that.
It might be. We'll see how Threads do. My book is already at the publisher. It's not 100% edited, so it's entirely possible that it will be added. We'll see. But potential for businesses, the businesses that, like I mentioned before, that have already, this is the first time I've seen brands adopt something so quickly. None of the other platforms I saw brands hop over. With the exception of Snapchat, brands were awesome on Snapchat right away. But I think that it's a great place right now for building your community. I think it's all about conversation and community. So I think, like I mentioned before, being helpful, do the things for your industry that you're going to connect with people, follow people. We're in the building, growing stage. So you want to take what you're not going to change what you've been doing everywhere else. You should have what your brand voice is and what you talk about, and all those things are not going to change. It's just going to be a little bit of a translation. I would say that it's not really a curation place. That's my snap
Right.
36-hour thing is, don't copy your Twitter strategy if it's mostly curation. Don't just curate things and dump it over there. I think people want to see the original thoughts, and that stands for brands. And, I actually saw somebody post saying, what do you want to see from me here? And it was
Mm,
somebody who is a big YouTuber. And YouTubers are also great to follow, because they're really great with connecting with their communities, like better they're one of the best, I think, at really connecting with their audiences. YouTubers, no matter what platform they're on, Instagram or Twitter, wherever. I've seen a lot of the big people like, Marquez Brownlee's already,
right.
obviously rocking it. Um, so look at some of those people if you're looking for ideas, but it's really staying true to your brand and just translating it to that text version. So it might be like what you're doing on Twitter, but even a brand, like even my personal brand, I'm on all the platforms, and there's things that people like from me in different communities. Like on my Facebook page, people really like my daily mantras. And on Twitter, they do okay. LinkedIn, not interested at all. I'm not going to do them on threads because I just don't think they'll be popular there. But
Hmm.
my Facebook page, if I stopped doing them, they were like bummed. And I get a lot of I get a lot of direct messages saying, thank you so much for posting these every day. They help me. So I feel good about that. But I'm not going to start it on a new place. I'm just kind of getting the feel for things and using it much like I did with early Twitter, just talking to people like, hi, like,
Right.
what's up? I haven't shared any of my blog posts or anything yet.
Yeah, see, that's what and this is, as Chris says, I felt amazing when Peg Fitzpatrick replied to one of my TikToks. So
Oh,
you
stop. Just
you made
go
somebody say.
just go comment on mine. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
So
like not the best TikToker, so whatever.
so like this is a question, like I was, because you can do what was it, up to 5 minutes of video you
Yeah.
can
Yep.
post it on Threads, and I haven't seen much yet, and
No.
I'm wondering, are we going to see people start to post reels that they've already posted on Instagram Reels over, as because short form
Maybe.
content really works. Like,
Mhm.
so what I do is, like, I make like a 30-second clip or a minute clip of this show where I'm asking a question, you answer it, and I've been repurposing them over on YouTube Shorts and also on Instagram Reels. Is
Yep.
this another spot where I should think about doing that, or is it too soon to tell? What do you think, Peg?
I would, especially because there's not that many people doing video yet.
Hmm.
So I would the only thing I would say not to do is people that repurpose TikToks, or just make sure there's no logos on it that are
Right.
not Meta. I don't
Yeah.
know about Reels, but and I don't know if you can share. I don't think you can share from Instagram to Threads yet.
I don't think you can. That's why I was wondering. I mean, I've already got the
I was
video. It'd be
thinking about
like,
that.
it would be reposting it, uploading it and doing that. Eric's
Right.
got it. This is his strategy. My friend Eric Fisher says, holding off with posting content and focusing on chatting with others. It's about
Right.
relationships. I think a lot of
Right.
people are taking that same strategy. At least the people I follow are. I mean, I'm sure there's
Yeah.
not,
Yep.
because it's like people you haven't connected. Like, we saw Jed Record. We both commented on his post,
Yeah.
and I hadn't talked to Jed since
Hey, Jen.
Google Plus days or something, back in the
Oh, yep.
forever. And so it was great to. It's like you're kind of old. It's like a family reunion where you haven't seen these people
It
in a
is.
while.
But
It
it's
Wait,
is.
Connor?
also interesting because it's you you're doing this with all your Instagram followers, and the things that they share on Instagram are completely different considering this is a text-based app. So it's almost
Mhm.
like when you were in elementary school and you would see your teacher at the grocery store, and you're like, "What?
Yeah,
This is
she's a
right.
real person. Yeah,
What's going on here?" But someone that both of you guys know, Guy Kawasaki, he already said what did he say? He said, Instagram is for bragging, Threads is for thinking, which I think it's a little too early, obviously, to kind of establish what this is and what this isn't.
Yeah.
Certainly, a social media platform in its adolescence, so it hasn't
yeah,
really even
Right.
decided what
Right.
it wants to be. But I do like what Eric's saying. It's like, just start talking right now. Post some
Yeah.
stuff.
Just don't
What's
don't
going?
don't
You know?
be the interesting thing though is it's not my Instagram followers that I'm surprised to see on Threads. It's people that I met on Twitter years and years ago,
okay,
and people from Google Plus. The people who really enjoy the conversation of social media, no matter where you are, those are the people who are connecting with me again, which I love. There was a group on Twitter. a long time ago. Hashtag us guys. If you're an us guy, there's girls and us guys. That's the question that always gets asked. But anyway, it was a community based on a hashtag, and people would go in that thread and talk all the time. So it's interesting. Those people have been connecting. So I think it's the live aspect of it. Like people just want, this is the only place in the metaverse that you can't schedule anything right now. So people are posting live and responding live. So everything is live.
Yeah, Eric says the same thing. He goes, yes, I'm reconnecting with people that I follow on IG that don't post much. And I think
Right.
that's the other thing. It's like people who it's hard. You know it, Peg. It's hard to come up with content, Connor, as well. It's hard to get that perfect photo or make that reel, which is even more of a commitment. And this is like,
Perfect photo doesn't even mean anything anymore on
I know.
Instagram. The problem is that the algorithm on Instagram and Facebook is 100% gone. Back in the early days of Facebook pages, you could reach everybody who followed you. Everything that you posted would reach them. It was amazing. And Instagram was the same thing. You would post and people would see it. Now people don't see your content even if you post. So
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are, if people are following, I'm following like 2,300 people. I'm only going to see 600 posts a day. So even if all the people I follow posted, I won't see them unless I go to their profile.
Yeah.
I have a question for both of you, which is kind of like a social media landscape question almost. We see Meta investing billions into Metaverse and creating your avatar and living your life online, and no one seems to want to actually do it, right? Like no one wants to jump
Right.
in. Some do, but maybe you're just not ready, whatever. Then we see them launch this and it skyrockets. Is this something where they're finally listening to the audience of what they want, or is it just Meta saying,
No, they just came out with more metaverse stuff. I have the headset. Jeff has a headset. I actually worked with Meta on a project, and they actually sent me one. And I do have a couple apps that I use on it. I don't use it that much. The headset is so like clunky and stuff. I just don't think it has the adoption that they wanted, obviously. But I do know there's somebody, I don't know if you know him, Connor, but Mitch Jackson, who's an attorney in California, was a trial attorney. He recently just stopped doing that. And now he does all stuff in the metaverse. He makes amazing stuff.
Arbitration.
And yeah, he's doing arbitrate mediation,
Yeah, mediation.
for people. So it's possible for people to do it. I mean, the cool thing is you can create a room and go in there, and people don't have to have the headset and they can still do it.
Yeah.
But I just think people weren't ready for that, or it's not the right demographic. I mean, Gen Z, I think, is the generation that's more, and millennials, like more video game kind of deal. It just it seems more like a video game than,
That's why I like it, Peg. That's why.
that's why you like it.
Yeah. So I want to
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring up some
And
comments.
how often have we used it, Jeff? We had one.
Well, we
meeting
tried
and
to
we
do
were
it
like,
for a meeting, but that didn't work. I use it all the time
Right.
for gaming and working out, as you can tell how fit I am. So, but I want to bring up this question this is back from Shayla, because I want to talk about this specifically. And we were talking about algorithms. She goes, lack of algorithms? Sorry, it's not going to go away. I'm actually suspicious to see if Meta might need to use Threads to try out AI algorithms. Be interested to dig into that. Well, I read an article like yesterday that somebody was saying that the reason that they launched this so fast and why they did it is because this gives them all this text and information to train an AI, because that's what Zuck has said they've been wanting to do. They want to take on Google, they want to take on OpenAI, ChatGPT, and this gives them all this information. And so I want to move from what Shayla said too in this vein and let's talk about the privacy stuff, because there's been some stuff on that, because this fits into that. Yeah.
The privacy stuff is not good. It says right in the terms of service that they own everything that you post. And if you post it, you're saying that you have the rights to post it. So if you're posting memes or photos or anything from any other platforms, they're telling you right in the terms of service that you can't do that. But people are already doing that. And they are saying that they own it, that they can use it any way that they want. So
and go into
that would
Apple.
include AI, even though it doesn't say we're going to turn this into an AI bot that's your personality. They could.
But go into your you can go into iPhone in the App Store and see what they're going to be tracking. They're tracking your health data. They're tracking everything. Now, and so Musk has been saying, look how much they're doing. Twitter still tracks a lot of stuff too. Maybe not as much, but it's pretty scary how much stuff they're tracking. And Shayla has another great question about how long do you think it's going to be till we see ads in the feed? And I go, their track record.
They said at least until the end of the year.
So, but their track record is there's ads lurking behind there. You can just feel it ready, trying to peek out.
Yep.
But if they're using it for AI, and there's a reason we get this stuff for free. They're taking our data. I just read another great article about, Tesla was, they got all this great, praise for opening up their charging networks for, like, I think it's General Motors or Ford, one of the two. Well, what people don't understand is when you plug in a Tesla, there's a data port as well. It's telling you where you drove, how long you were doing it, what radio station you listened to, all this stuff. Now they can do that with their competitors. So all this stuff that we get for free is data. We
don't get it. You're paying for it or you're the product.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's how it goes with all of these. So it's free and everybody's like, yay, let's go on and let's post this. And it's out there.
Yeah. So anyway, I think there is a concern about privacy. And one of the things, we didn't talk about this when we talked about it at the beginning, but one of the things that they have said is, like, when you want to leave, you can take this with you. Like, it's built on, what was it? The platform that Master.
The Fediverse. It's part of they're making it part of the Fediverse, and it may at some point be connected to Mastodon and other things that are in the open. It's so techy, but it's part of the Fediverse. So they're saying, hypothetically speaking, this could be connected to other things. So it's not part of, you could build your followers here and then you won't lose them. And I would say I would have loved that for Google Plus because, I built up the hugest platform I had and then it disappeared. And I think that's part of, a lot of people have done that, built platforms here, there, and then it goes away. And Twitter, people are complaining about it, but also have decade or more on there posting all the time. And it's hard to leave that when you've built that, even though it's not the same that it was, it's hard to give it up.
Yeah. And Jim just said he just saw a post on Threads now at 70 million users as of 8 a.m. Just think of, to be honest, they won't have to run ads. No. They will because it's even more money, but they're already getting what they need to build their
if what they want
Skynet.
Is our data, that's all they've ever wanted. That's all that Facebook, every social platform has been tracking everything, creating these buyer personas for us to send us the ads. That's everywhere. And that's even our iPhones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you could be having a conversation with someone and it's listening in some app and then you get ads for it later. We all get that.
Yeah. I think the only one thing is just, yes, they are getting so much data. They're just going to have to show, especially to investors, especially being public, if they know that they can make a whole heck of a lot of money with ads, they have to justify that by not showing ads. We're also making money with that. That's why I'm just always wary of that. It's just always, it's great, but who knows when we get the business people involved.
I think right now they're just showing that they have numbers. Numbers are first in the tech world. We have this many users. Where did they not launch? Did you pay attention to that? Europe.
Oh, the UK. Yeah, they couldn't do it in the Europe. Yeah,
they didn't do it in Europe because they have strict privacy laws.
Right.
And they've already gotten hit from different things on the privacy laws.
And Shayla does say I say a quick check all the data they request access for with Threads. They already have access to with Instagram. The health, fitness, finances, all that stuff. But Fred my friend Fred said, over on YouTube says, I just wish we could control our data better so we have a portion of what they earn off of us. If we don't like it, we could throttle it. I get it. As a creator, you have a platform to put stuff on, but that platform is benefiting off your content. So it's
man, what a bummer. We were riding that Threads hide coming in, and then we really took a
I know, but the privacy thing is important. If you turn off, because I know in some Apple things you can say don't track, ask this app not to track. Can you do that with Threads, or does it break it where you can't get in?
Here's the thing with all the Meta stuff, though. If you really look at how many apps you have on your phone that are Meta, you have a lot. So you need to check a lot of things. And that's one thing that used to bother me too. It's like, I don't want, like, the Messenger app. I have fought hard not to put in my phone. because I
Yeah.
don't want like you have 5 Facebook apps. They're all different things, but you have Instagram, now you have Threads, you have I have Business Manager, I have blah, I have blah, I have blah. Like in some way I would just like one app for that one thing. So they're tracking all of this, even if you're careful on one, it's almost
Yeah.
impossible. You really just need to not be on social media if you don't want your
Yeah.
data to be out there. That's the thing. It's not just a Threads thing, it's an everything thing.
It is.
That's honest. I
And
mean,
I
if you want to talk bad policies, TikTok is the one that no one should be on because they're tracking all of your stuff, and it's they're doing a lot worse in
yeah.
my opinion. And so you
Yeah,
know
and Eric says the value of threads may not be monitored, it may be in the data. And
that
then
and the
Fred,
numbers, the
yeah.
people, we have this many users.
And Fred, who is a programmer, he goes, if these social platforms acquire their own large language models like ChatGPT, they can easily make these experiences more personalized, and that may add some value that we don't have right now. So I think it will be interesting when they start. Right now, we're seeing all the people we know. Like, it's people who follow us on Instagram and working, hey, it's good to see you here. It'll be interesting when it goes to that next step, when it starts recommending not just the big influencers, but also the normal people like Connor and me, not Peg. Peg is still elevated above
Oh,
us.
wait, but that leads us to an interesting point. So I'm verified on Instagram, and my
Yes.
verification went over to Threads immediately.
Yeah.
So Jeff and I did an experiment yesterday. Jeff was not verified, and he went and he did the paid
Right.
verification on Instagram, and it showed up like immediately on
Yeah,
Threads.
I thought I was
So
gonna
they're
have to.
very
Yeah,
tight
I
on
was
the
gonna ask
connection.
about that to see if there were any benefits coming for Threads and what that might be for that paid verification.
I
I
have a
think
feeling with their growing this fast, they're gonna. So you right now you have to pay for if you want to be on Facebook Meta for that.
Mhm.
That's a separate subscription. Instagram is a subscription, but right now it transferred over to Threads.
Threads.
I have
Right.
a feeling with 10 million and growing or whatever Jim said, I have a feeling they'll start charging for just Threads verification too.
They might, but and the only thing that I've seen there where it's it's a bonus right now is that I've only seen verified people in that recommended
Yeah.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't seen me being recommended there yet.
Nope.
So,
I haven't seen neither. They probably don't show
and
yourself.
and I
If
don't.
anybody, wait, can you tell you guys that are watching right now, have you seen us on your like little recommended thing? Maybe you don't even see people that you're already following.
Could be. The thing that I think of, and we did it as an experiment because I'm not a big pay for the blue check kind of guy. I'm just like, whatever. We did
I
it because we
made
wanted to
Jeff
see if
do
it.
it.
Yeah, and it's like $15 a month, and it's
Wow.
not worth it for me to have a little blue check by my name. So if it does like boost my posts or whatever, maybe you can make that argument. But it was an interesting experiment, and it was even told me when I signed up. It said this may take up to like 72 hours to do it because you have to take a picture of your license and make sure you're not on the watch list.
Think about sharing your data, Jeff. What have you just done?
I know. Yeah, in Texas, we don't have any problem with that. But so Eric goes, Jeff will always be verified in my mind. Yeah, I'm verified something. Anyway, but that was an interesting thing to try. So if you
Yeah.
want the blue check, and maybe if you think they're going to charge later, maybe it's time to do it now before they add another subscription level, because I can just see that. So Shayla goes, I have seen people on Threads I'm not following, but they show more calmly if someone you follow interacts with the post. Interesting.
Shayla's really cranking out the Threads usage here.
She's going
Which-
after mom is what she is.
How many followers do you have now, Shayla?
So it's really interesting. So, what do you see, Peg, as a challenge or drawback with the adoption of Instagram Threads? Not just that we have to go do something else on another platform, but do you see any downside as a business person? And like if you had a client come up to you and said, Peg, should I get on Threads? Would you say wait, or would you say go for it, get your name, just kind of hold it, but wait till it kind of smooths out? Or would you say jump on in?
I would say jump in. I don't think people can take your name, like I said, but that's not confirmed because it's connected with your Instagram account. But it used to be, I mean, you have to have a Facebook account to have a Facebook page. So we'll see how they're connected. You have to have the personal profile to have the page. So it's sort of similar, like you have an Instagram account and you can just transfer your data. I would say if you're a business and you're on Instagram, that you should do it. I haven't figured out how to be logged into a different account. There's no account switching thing, so that's a little bit clunky right now.
That's
Hmm.
on the list. The head of Instagram said that was a
Yeah.
feature on the list, kind of like on
Yeah.
Instagram. You just click at the bottom, switch.
Yep. Yeah, but
Um,
it's not there now, so that's kind of one
yeah,
challenge.
yeah. Um, I think for a lot of people, maybe might be transitioning over from Twitter. We talked about it before.
Mm.
They're kind of done um, with Twitter and with everything that's happening. So, how do you see Threads potentially affecting not only the user base but the of Twitter in the long run?
But the what of Twitter, I missed the last part.
The popularity of Twitter and their
Mm.
user.
I think if people stay on Threads and they like it and it's a good experience, people are going to stay there. I think the
Yeah,
people that are still happy with the current ownership of Twitter and love everything about that particular conversations and those things, they're going to stay there. I think you're splitting the population, and I think it's already been done, in my opinion. There's people who would have bet, the second that he fired everybody at Twitter, we're like, oh my God, we need to go somewhere else. But most of those people are still there. There's a
right.
lot of people who didn't want to be there but still stay there. Stephen King loves Twitter and he tweets. Obviously, he's a great writer. Um, I haven't checked to see. My guess is that he hopped right over to Threads and carried that on. So I think that there's a percentage of people who will still stay on Twitter, but I think there's a lot of people who are looking for something that wasn't so controlled. And, I don't follow Elon Musk on Twitter. And every time I go on, I see his stuff. He puts himself in your feed all the time. There's no avoiding it. So, uh,
So
I
what's
hope
your
it'll be better. I hope it'll just be a better experience and stay that way, but it's brand spanking new, so
so what will your strategy be, Peg? Personally, will you stop posting on Twitter, or you continue to go to both places for a while and eventually just migrate to Threads, or will you always have some sort of presence on Twitter since you have so many followers?
I don't post as much as I used to on Twitter. I used to spend a lot of time curating a lot of content and sharing a lot of things, and I just don't do that really anymore. I share a little bit. So I still have my Twitter. I don't know. I mean, eventually maybe I would just get rid of it, but I do have a book coming out, so I was hoping that would be a great
Hmm.
place to market my book to my 60,000 followers, but how many people will see it on there? I don't know. So we'll see if my book will, how would a book launch go on Threads? I don't know. We'll see.
By the way, if you want to sign up for Peg's book, pegspatrick.com/book-buzz. Go sign up
And it's
for,
an email list. An
yeah,
email list you actually own and you
yeah,
can keep that and send people things. So don't forget about your blog and your
right.
email list, people, when you're thinking about your social, because I think Threads is amazing and it's fun and everybody loves it. But if you really want to contact people, emails, good way to
Yeah.
do it.
My pal Eric says, he goes, I posted on Twitter this week about Threads. So yeah, and he's big on Twitter, and he has for a long time. But
Right.
I want to talk about this last part just before we move on to talking about your book a little bit. Peg, is I asked on Threads, what's going to look like this weekend, and I'm really
Yeah.
curious what you guys think. Is there going to be an activity drop this week on Twitter, and will it? Do you think Threads is going to continue to go up this weekend? What are your predictions for that?
It's still gonna people are excited to see people on there and they're hopping on right away. And people are on there all day too. I've noticed. Like people are on there
Right.
later. People are posting in the morning, like, oh my God, I'm so tired. So I would say that it's gonna keep going for a while until, we'll see if it'll probably even out at a certain point. But right now I think people are still excited about it. So I
Yeah.
think they're gonna be there.
By the way, if you aren't following us on Threads, make sure you go follow Connor Brown, WDW Opinion over there. Jeff C, I'm over there. Peg is there. Give us a follow. Say you watch this show. Let us know that you watch it. Any questions and
And
comments that
at
we didn't get
mention
to?
people, at
Yeah.
mention
Yeah.
people, just
Let
to
us
make
know.
sure they see it. You can respond to people, but if you at mention people, you have a much better rate of getting a response.
So I want to take some time to talk about I think you're kind of crazy for launching a book on social media because we've already had a big change that you're going to have to fix. I know. But she's got a new book launch coming up. We teased it, and I think I even put in the post what the proposed title is going to be. Of course, that can change. But
Mm-hmm.
Peg, tell us about this book, and why you decided to write it. I mean, why this book?
Why this book? Well, I wrote The Artist Social Media with Guy. That was, almost, it was 8 years ago that was published, and obviously a lot of things have changed. But the biggest difference between this book and my first book is that this is for small business owners. So this is um, the first book was The Art of Social Media. It was power tips for power users. And those were bite sized, small tips where you could take a tip and learn a thing and do a thing. And my new book for small businesses, which is tentatively The Art of Small Business Social Media, but we'll see, or social, the publisher's playing with that. I don't really know where that's going to land yet, but the book is for how to market for small businesses from A to Z. So it starts at the beginning and explains all of it, like how to build your brand, what a brand is on social media, how to translate your offline stuff online, and then literally all the steps. And it's not the things that you can just like Google this to do this. I don't go step by step. This is how you set up a Facebook page. This is how you do this. I talk about the overall strategies and how to just do everything from getting started to creating content to creating, editorial calendars and just really doing everything. So, yes, it is always, a thing when you write a social media book, things change, that happens. Our first book didn't have anything about TikTok in it. That was like big in between there. So, I mean, obviously those things change, but the point of this book is not about tips and tactics for specific platforms, but how to be, I like to say, platform agnostic and
Mhm.
create your brand so it works everywhere, which we've kind of talked about in here. Like, are you going to, cut and paste the same strategies that you have here to do here?
Mm-hmm.
You can't really. That's why we're still in the wait and see, communicate, talk to people, and have fun stage, even if you're a brand, ask questions, post funny things. But I wouldn't dive into your big strategy yet. Like, I think today, if people saw, a whole bunch of brand pushing sales, they would probably
Yeah,
unfollow the
Right.
brand.
Right.
yeah.
But that being said, people love that on Instagram. People love
Mhm.
brands. They love sales, coupons, and all of that on Instagram. So brands specifically should do a little wait and see for this. But so that's what the book is about. It's how to do marketing for small business owners. It's going to be like the little hand guide that you wish that you already had, but really needed. And why now? Because after the pandemic, we saw so many businesses locally close that just didn't translate online.
Right.
They
Yeah.
didn't have any way to connect with their customers. They didn't have an email list. They didn't have anywhere where they could post, we're going to be closed today because all of our staff is sick, or and then you would go to the business and it was closed and then you were frustrated. And
Right.
then how many times are you going to go back to a store that's closed in the middle of the day before you say forget it, and then later that's just gone forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in a small town and I love small businesses and I love them in my community. I do
Right.
shop it online and shop at big stores too, but I love my local florist. I love all my local things, local bookstores, and I really wanted to help all of them succeed.
Yeah. I
Mr.
love.
Fred with a great message there. Tactics win battles, but strategies win wars. Gonna grab your book.
Right.
So, can you
Thank you, Fred.
Mr. Fred, can you tease or give a little sneak peek into maybe some of the strategies you talk about in the book, Peg? Or a favorite
No,
one?
no,
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Really, the biggest thing is the platform agnostic piece. I think that's something that people don't talk about enough. I think people are like, how are we going to be good on this? How are we going to be? You still have to think about those things. Like, how does your brand translate to Instagram or Threads or TikTok, or like, what are we going to post? Those kind of things. But it's really more about figuring out who you are and what your audience needs
Mm.
and how you're going to translate that and how you're going to connect with them where they are, because you can say, well, I'm going to go here and I'm going to talk about X, and it can be totally wrong. Kind of like I talked about with my personal brand, these things are popular here but they're not popular there. I manage a brand social media, and I post on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and Pinterest, Pinterest brings us blog traffic, but Facebook is still our biggest channel, and that's where our audience is. That the Facebook page was the first thing that we had, and that's the most popular. And I don't run ads or anything on there anymore, but that's just where our audience connects the most. LinkedIn is growing a lot. And it's an industry where there's not like an exponential amount of people. It's not like Facebook where we're like 10 million people can use us. This is a
Right.
smaller industry. So it's really kind of figuring out all of those things. And it's really just like things that I haven't seen all together in one book. And I've read a lot of marketing books
So if you
because
got,
it's my job. So, and I like that. And the other thing that's different is that I've actually worked in social media since day one that I've ever posting. I've managed a brand and done all these other things. So I use it every single day. I'm not a person who is just deciding I'm a marketer and I'm a social media person, but I have no background in any of it. I did traditional marketing. I've done even before all the online stuff was here. I worked for a company and I did traditional marketing.
right.
So just that in the field experience sets my advice apart, I feel.
I agree. That's why we have you on the show. Make sure
Thank you.
make sure you guys go to pegfitzpatrick.com/book-buzz. For you guys on the podcast listeners, pegfitzpatrick.com/book-buzz. Make sure you guys go check that out. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate our sponsors, Ecamm. They're another way to. They're great. They're on Threads. I saw them the other day having conversation. They do such a great job with building community, but they also have a great sale going on right now. If you haven't checked them out and you want to take your presentations, your live video, all that stuff that has to do with creating your kind of video online, this Ecamm can help you do that. They have a sale right now, so if you haven't done that, check them out before. Go there to socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. Check them out with this special sale. You can see it right at the top of the screen. They have a special code you can enter. Do that and check them out. And with that, we thank all of you guys for being here. I appreciate Eric for stopping by, Jim, the Dealcasters, Chris, Gary, Fred, everybody who stopped by. I appreciate you. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. And Shayla, yes, Shayla stopped by.
Out the questions.
She did. She had some great ones. I appreciate you as well. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for stopping by. See you over on Threads. See ya.
Follow us on Threads.
Bye.